So, hey guys. Hey guys, this is take two. This is take two. Okay, I tried to sit down and do this earlier, and honestly, there was some sort of, I don't know if it was like a citywide PA or like what was happening, but some system was going off, and there was literally a siren blaring that I could hear from deep within the depths of this house that I'm in, which is my home. And honestly, hey, honestly did not even I think it was the universe telling me to take a breath, because what I will say is, when I started recording earlier, I was on the verge of I was on the verge of crashing out so tremendously that I'm getting goosebumps. I'm just thinking about it, you guys. Sorry. Just thinking about it, I'm like, the universe put a hand on my shoulder and was like, girl, and take a breath before you sit down in this sacred space that you've created for yourself and you bring nonsense here to this place. We come to this place, as Nicole Kidman said, we come to this place for magic, right? Me, my cheeks literally sorry, we're coming back, you guys. We are literally coming back. We're coming back. And we're here. And you know what? Unfortunately, when the crash out does happen, I fear it'll be like something along the lines of it will be something like the likes of which, unfortunately, I don't think I've ever actually seen and experienced in real life, because I have not had this experience before. So, whatever. Hi, guys. We come to this place for magic. Like, we literally come to this place for magic. Hello. Welcome back. Happy January. If you're new, if you're just joining us, welcome. Welcome. Sit with me. Hey, sit with me, beloved. While I find my. Oh, wait. Actually, I have a mood ring on. Wait. I have a mood ring on. I'm going to look at the thing right now, though, because I'm curious to see what it says about the feelings that I'm experiencing right now. Funny story on the mood ring, just like brief aside, I was actually in California. So I'm coming off the heels. Oh, by the way, you guys are catching me off of the heels of 12 days in California, which insane. And I will unpack that in a minute. But on my first day there, I had a conscious thought to myself where I was like, right, so it's blue. So the mood ring, wait. Right, it's light blue. Right. And do we want to know what light blue stands for? Light blue stands for flustered. And you know what? Okay. That's the way to put it. That's a great way to put it, actually. But on the first day I got there, I was like, man, I haven't had a mood ring since I was a child. Mood Ring by Lorde came on my shuffle, and I was like, I want one. I just want one. And she made a point, and this song is good, and it's making me want a mood ring, so I'm gonna look for one. Literally the next day, went out, saw a mood ring, bought it. So yeah, that's how I got this. And it's really, really cutesy. And dare I say, pretty accurate, given the fact that it is giving me a diagnosis right now of a flustered, and I think I see some black coming through there too, which black means tuckered out. Hey, and you know what? Like I am tuckered out, I guess. I've been through a lot. The way that this, okay. So, hi. If you're just joining, welcome. If this is your first time seeing my face, welcome. If this is your first time hearing my voice, welcome. I'm so, so glad to have you here. If this has not shown you anything thus far, and these 5 minutes, actually it should have shown you something. Like this is the sort of flavor that we're working with around these parts, and that's okay. This is Getting It Together. I'm your host. My name is Milani, and I am currently unemployed. And I created this show. Basically, I mean, I would recommend listening to the first episode, honestly, just because that is the like ultimate lore drop and kind of the ultimate when, how, why of all of this. But if you don't feel like doing that, hey, that's okay. If you don't feel like doing that, that's okay. To Spark Notes it, I feel like, and this goes into why I went on this trip to California, but basically, I was, dare I say, ejected from Los Angeles like about a year and a half ago, like mid 2024, spring 2024. So it's about to be spring. So almost, it's going to be 2 years in April or March, I think. Yes, I was ejected from LA, kind of had to like leave my whole life. I did have to Irish goodbye the city, unfortunately, because I just think that there was, at the time, there was so much like shame and sadness and just really conflicting emotions tied to that place for me. And the fact that I like left because I had to and I didn't really get a choice in that or get an opportunity to kind of change the situation. I don't know. It felt like not, like just not fun. And my way of coping with that was being depressed for a really long time. But now we're here. We're way out of it. We're out of it and we're up. And for the context, listen, for the rest of the lore, just like listen to the first episode, okay? Like that's all I can really tell you. But that being said, that's what brings me here. I started this project last fall. I technically started it last spring, but I got kind of serious about it in the fall. And then mid fall season, there was like, I was just completely blindsided by things in my personal life. And I think that sort of made the end of the year extremely chaotic. But that being said, and as you can tell, we're recovering from something, like some chaos of some sort. But yeah, that being said, I am back. I'm so excited that I'm just excited about where this is going to go this year. Like I feel very, very dedicated to my cause, which is to, I think, be a loud, prominent voice showing and speaking about the experience of being in the in-between. I feel like with our influencer and image-based culture, we don't see it, like everything is just so black and white all the time, and everything is so like, okay, you're either a creative or you're not. You're either an artist or you're not. You're either successful or you're not. You're either employed or you're not. There is never just like a big, there's never like a loud voice like, actually, I'm not. I'm in the process of becoming, and I feel like, I don't know, I wanted to talk about being in the process of becoming and what that looks like, and that it's okay for the being in the process to be literally the only thing that you have going on. And at first it was like really hard for me to accept that, and it was really embarrassing, and I felt like so behind all of my peers. And obviously not every single part of every single process needs to be publicized or recorded, but I think that it's important for there to be some evidence that you can be figuring it out and it just be okay. And I don't mean figuring it out, but you have 35K like on Instagram or like TikTok, or like figuring it out, but like you're like a mega successful like micro influencer, or figuring it out, but you know, like you are this established artist and you have found your voice and you like it's figured out, and to some degree, because I know that also like we're only ever seeing what people want us to see, and so the visuals and like the narratives are being controlled all the time, and I primarily just wanted a space for myself to record this journey that I'm on, because I mean, obviously I have hella dreams, like hella goals, like we're working towards something big, which is great. But in the meantime, we're in such like this space that I'm in like is so uncertain right now, and so uncertain all the time, and I'm just like every day I wake up, I look around and I'm like, oh shit, now what? Okay. Like all I can literally do is like take these little tiny microscopic steps, and it's like fine, and I'm really really learning how to be where my feet are, as you can probably tell. But in the meantime, I figured why not record that process. So that being said, welcome. I hope you stick around because we're here and we have things to talk about, ladies. Like we literally have things to talk about. First and foremost, was just in Southern California for 12 days. Okay, right. Perfect. Amazing. Went on a date while I was there. Right. Amazing. Can't even begin. Really, actually, can't even begin to talk about that, because honestly, you know what? Honestly, we're both chasing a dream hella, so like I don't even know what, like the thing is, I went into it being very like there is no future and there is no right now. Like I'm here and now, but there is like no after this, because I'm hella in Texas, you're hella in California. Like it's fine. And honestly, like gonna have to just deeply compartmentalize that one, because because there is no, I can't think about what ifs. Like I literally can't afford to like be caught in a fantasy right now. So unfortunately, like we're just gonna we're gonna compartmentalize that one. Date was beautiful, really amazing, fun time, so cute, vibe. But yeah, that's just not even, I'm just I wouldn't dare. I literally wouldn't dare, you guys, walk myself down that path publicly here on camera, only because I was already crashing out about some other shit. Like I was already crashing out. So, okay. To keep it really cutesy, this ring is still saying flustered. So, to keep it really cutesy though, got back from 12 days in Southern California feeling very clear, which is interesting because I think before I left, there was just no, like, I felt very like my path was like up in the air. And it's interesting because of the nature of how I had to leave LA, and kind of how like it was this whole situation where I just ran out of money and had to go. I think that there was always like this lack of closure and like this feeling of feeling like, well, what if, and oh, I could have made it work, and it just should have, like it would be so easy to like go back and like chase the dream and do the this and do the that. And I think that it was just so fabulous of an idea in my head, like just the idea of Los Angeles as a place. I love California. We already know this. Like if you've been listening at all, my five friends, like, you know, I'm an acolyte of California. Like we know I'm a California girl down. Not actually, hey, was born and raised in like Florida and Texas. So if anything, I'm a Florida and Texas girl down. But I am a California girl down. Went to school in California, lived in California for several years, like am usually in and out of California. And I actually realized when I went back this time that this period of almost 2 years, not even fully 2 years, but I realized that like this period of almost 2 years was the longest time that I'd gone without visiting, even since 2017, which was almost 10 years ago, which was when I moved for college. So that being said, like I just felt like such a big, like I had so much anticipation, so much excitement about it, so much, like I was really romanticizing the idea of it. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to California and I'm gonna have this crazy time, and then I'm gonna get back and I'm gonna get my ass on a plane and move like next month. Like literally that's how I was feeling. I said to my friends, I don't know. I'm going to go to California and then I'm going to get back and I'm going to be talking about like how much sense it makes for me to move all of a sudden. Which is interesting because even toward the end of the year when all of that stuff was happening and kind of thinking back on my instincts and like how I actually feel, I came to a conclusion probably in like November, I think, where I was like, actually, like, I like resolutely know, after much contemplation and meditation, I know that Texas is the place for me, like, for right now. Like, I know that this is a good place for me to build myself up. I know that this is a good place for, like, early career, especially any sort of creative career. Like, I think that I really thrive as a big fish in a small pond, but the goal and the hope with that is that eventually I can be a big fish in a big pond, but I feel really like grounded and stable in who I am and like my path, and like I just see it with such clarity that being in a big pond won't matter. Like that's the goal and that's like the hope. So that being said, I went into this like very murky, very confused, and I think it needed to happen exactly how it happened. Like, yes, it was chaos. Yes, it was like go, go, go for, it was go, go, go for literally like all 10 days. And, oh my gosh. And I started my cycle literally like 2 days before coming home, and it was 6 days early. And I was like, no wonder I have been on the verge of a crash out this entire time. No wonder. Like it was hormonal. Like it was hormonal. Because I was feeling hella crazy. But we don't even have to get into that. Yeah, so I think that, gosh, just going, I just knew as soon as I landed with clarity, I was like, oh yeah, like this is great, but this just feels wrong. Like this feels like a not fit for who I am and where I am right now. Now, granted, like that changes every day. And, you know, I do think I'll be back sooner than I thought because I saw myself in Texas for like another year or two. Who knows how like that's gonna go. Like I said, I mean, change every day, things happen, opportunities come up, and whatever, the world and the universe work in mysterious ways. So we'll see on that. However, or that being said, I think there really is work to be done for me here and on me here and on myself as an artist. And even the fact that like I wouldn't even be making this podcast or doing any of this if I hadn't been kind of forced into the situation that I was forced into. This wouldn't have even, I mean, who knows how long maybe it would have taken, because I do think that this is something that I'm supposed to be doing, like this medium and like this form of expression. I do think is kind of made for me, and I think that I'm extremely in alignment with where I'm supposed to be headed through choosing to do things this way. But that also just would have never happened if I wouldn't have been forced to kind of just drop everything and move from California. So, yeah, we're here. It was just transformative, and I think feeling the energy of LA and feeling the place, I realized that there is no, for me, where I am right now, it requires a lot more like concentrated effort and energy and focus to be where my feet are in a place like that, which is why I want to get really good at being like present and like grounded and like I just want to feel like a firmer, or I want to feel a stronger sense of self before choosing to step into a city like LA or a city like New York and getting kind of swept into the flow of things again. So, yeah, and that is the clarity that it offered me. I will say that, oh gosh, I just miss the weather. I miss the weather. I miss the weather. I miss the beach. I do miss being in California in general. I miss the proximity to everything. Like, there is an energy in the air. Like, you get up, you're just walking around, and there's hella. I love, and the fact that I guess for me too, it's not as scary because LA is a city where I have such a vast network. Like, I literally had like three actual activities to do every single day, which was so nice, but also made me incredibly exhausted and like so busy. And it was just really chaotic, as I stated. But that being said, it's fun when you have just things to do all the time and you can go outside and you can run into people that you know, which is insane in a city like Los Angeles, just being able to be like, I'm outside and I'm just running into people that I know, like, which happened several times, by the way, insane, in random ass places in random neighborhoods, right? And there's also so many different neighborhoods, and like each neighborhood in Los Angeles is kind of like its own mini city, and it really is an interesting place. It really is an interesting place. And I will say, I got back and I think I am feeling a little bit of, oh my gosh, by the way, we're sober again, but I wasn't sober. I was sober for 5 months and drank on January 1st. And then what's today? 13th. So I've recommitted to being sober because I'm just like, okay, actually we have to cut the cameras on this. That being said though, I will say I drank every single day for like the first 10 days of the month. Dead ass. And maybe that has to do with why, hey, maybe a part of that, maybe that in itself, because I know your brain chemistry be different when you're on something like that, like a bender, which I unfortunately was on a bender, you know, like your psychology is just a little different. Like things are just happening a little differently in your head. Was I maybe experiencing perhaps maybe some level of psychosis? Maybe. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. Who's to say? And why did I even bring that up? I don't know why I brought that up, but something about it, the point is, I say all that to say, something about being in such a high energy environment with with like someone you know and something to do at the drop of a hat, at like the snap of a finger, at every single corner, like it's just really a great life. It's fast and I do miss it. And I am now, I think what I was going to say is that like coming off of the heels of that bender, I'm feeling like a little bit of like not a depression, but just the way that I was sprinting full speed and the way that I've now literally had to skid damn near to a halt. Like not a complete halt, because now I'm back in my little routine where I'm like doing little one step at a time every single day and like working on myself and developing myself and working toward my greater vision, right? Which is great, fine. But there is something to be said about like, gosh, coming down from that high and just really having to like focus hard on remembering why I'm here and why this feels right and why I'm choosing this and like what's going on. So, yeah, that being said, we're in January. I'm going to give y'all some ins and outs. And then we're going to talk about the Golden Globes because I have thoughts on the Golden Globes. And also I saw, actually, ins and outs of January, then Golden Globes. And then maybe my thoughts on Marty Supreme, because I actually have thoughts on Marty Supreme, several, but we're gonna see if we get there, if we have time. So ins and outs for January. We have reading every day, because honestly, you should be reading every day. And everybody really should be reading every day. TBH. Like, actually, if you're not reading every day, that's mildly concerning. But yeah, reading every day. For me, writing every day. I'm doing Artist Way, and also, so like for context, Artist Way, you just do daily pages, which is 3 pages of journaling in the morning, but also like I'm currently writing a pilot and a feature length film, and both of which I aim to have kind of done by the end of the calendar year. So for me, writing every day, that's just what makes sense. Caffeine. And y'all know how I feel about caffeine. Like, y'all know how I feel about caffeine. And caffeine is unfortunately in. And I have decided in my freedom from drinking, actually, I discovered this when I was sober for the first time from August to January, because that was like my first window of sobriety. And I think I said something about this actually, like in an earlier episode. I did talk about how for a second there, when I was first making the transition, like to ease the pain of it, became a Dr. Pepper girl and realized that like dark soda is evil and like diabolical, and that is like actually not a controlled substance. So yeah, got really into dark soda, transitioned into matcha. We started having matcha every day. And if you know me, you know I'm having a double matcha usually every day. And when I started my running journey too, I started drinking yerba again, like yerba mate, which, yeah. Anyway, so point is, if I'm choosing a substance of choice, if I can't have anything, unfortunately, I'm going to have caffeine. Like, I feel like a girl, heaven forbid, like, heaven forbid a girl wants some caffeine. We're entitled to that. Movement in the mornings, because I just feel like for me, energetically, that's just what I need to get through the day. And actually, I can tell that it fucks up the feng shui when I don't, because I didn't move this morning. I had like a tremendously tough time getting out of bed, and like really, really struggled with some stuff. And when I finally did get out of bed, I was then kind of like running right on time for a meeting that I had at 10 a.m. So I wasn't able to move. And you know what? I think my energy was off in my meeting, like I do. I think the feng shui was just fucked up, to be honest. So, yeah, movement in the mornings, letting myself feel the feelings. Right. Letting myself, hey, letting myself feel the feelings. Okay? Okay. And you know what? Today we're gonna let ourselves feel the feelings off camera. But like, if y'all don't mind, actually gonna let that happen, just not now. Maybe at the grocery store. I'm going to the grocery store in about an hour, so we'll see. Like, maybe the girls in HEB will see me letting myself feel the feelings. But it's in regardless. Like, that's what we're doing in 2026. Treating myself like the most interesting subject in school, because I think you should treat yourself like the most interesting subject in school. If you're not the most interesting subject in the school that is your life, literally, like, what are we talking about? What else could be more interesting? Even if you're an artist, for example, because I'm an artist, and I was having this whole conversation with my friend yesterday about, my friend and I were having a conversation yesterday, and he was talking about how he like lives essentially in service of creativity and like creating things, and he feels like a very intrinsic drive to just create and to just tell stories and to do all of that. And I obviously I wholeheartedly agree, and I think a lot of people who like create because they have to, like literally because you can't help it, not because you want to be like this prolific like musician or like this or that for like the image of it all, but actually people who are like, oh, actually if I don't express what I need to express and expel this energy from me through whatever their chosen medium is, like I'm going to have a crash out the likes of which you've never seen before. I get it. Like, that's literally, I was like, yes. That being said, I think that part of that, like the strength of that feeling, comes also from not only being so interested in yourself. Like, I think every artist has to have like some level of self involvement going on that is like quite honestly insane and far, far beyond what the average person has. But I also just think like treating yourself like the most interesting subject in school ties into finding the source, even if even if you see yourself as like the vessel of ideas, like ideas come from the universe and like you just receive them and it is your job to service them. I think that there's like a really strong connection between knowing yourself and really getting to know yourself so deeply and not becoming obsessed with yourself in a way that's like where you're projecting and you're insecure and you're self-conscious, which is what I think the common self-obsession is. Like I think the self-obsession that most people suffer from is the type where you just think everybody's perceiving you all the time. And I think we really need to be intentional about working into like a different level of self-obsession where you're like, oh wait, I'm actually so free and I'm only here living this life once. And if you're a creative person, then you are a vessel for ideas. And like, where did they come from? And like, where did they, like, what is all of the source material? And like, where do these feelings come from? Like, even I joke about like my crash out that I almost had that I'm probably gonna have later. But like, I'm like, gosh, like, where does that come from? Like, I have to know. I have to pick it apart. I have to pick it apart. So, yeah, letting myself feel the feelings also kind of goes in hand with that. But the last of my ends is treating myself like the most interesting subject in school. And I think everyone should be doing that. And also, actually, my other last in is Airborne. Like, I recently rediscovered Airborne, like the tablets that you put in your water. And honestly, sorry, Emergency could never. And Airborne, I don't know, something about it. When I was in California, I took Airborne every single day, and I think that is the only reason I made it to the end of my trip alive, and I'm not kidding. So, yeah, shout out Airborne. Love you. If you ever want to, if you ever want to link or connect, like just let me know, mama. I love you. I've been loyal to you since childhood. I forgot about her. I don't know how I forgot about her. I got distracted when I was in college by the Emergency Warriors, but we're back. And I was in Ralph's in LA, and I was like, honestly, I'm not going to grab Emergency off the shelf. I'm going to grab Airborne, and I did, and now I'm like, okay, period. So yeah, those are my ins. For outs, we have right, and this is crazy of me to say after just talking about how I was on a bender where I drank for 10 days straight. And drank a lot for 10 days straight, mind you. It wasn't just regular drinking. Oop. So, outs for 2026. Drinking yikes. Right. That's what that says on there. Right, right, right. Scrolling social media as an observer and not as a producer. Won't be doing that. Honestly, won't be doing that. I just won't be scrolling social media, period. But if I am, it's going to be specifically to look at art and artists that I'm interested in and not like from a production standpoint in terms of like producing my personal work, producing my personal brand, finding out what I'm interested in, learning about myself. Like that's how we're scrolling. We're not scrolling just passively observing like the girls that we went to high school with. Sorry, that's out. Dehydration. I've started every single day with a noon tablet. Hey, not that that means too much, but it helps me feel like I'm starting the day off right. So, get you some electrolytes that you like and get into that and just have room temperature water with electrolytes every single morning and maybe a squeeze of lemon or lime. I don't know. Biting my tongue. I noticed at the end of 2025, I was struggling with a blocked throat chakra. Yeah, we're just not doing that. Like, unfortunately, we're just not doing that. And I actually recently had an experience where I felt so, like, regretful of how it happened. But when I thought about why I felt regretful of, of how it happened, I was like, well, because I was struggling with a blocked throat chakra. Yeah, we're just not doing that. Like, unfortunately, we're just not doing that. And I actually recently had an experience where I felt so, like, regretful of how it happened. But when I thought about why I felt regretful of why I felt regretful of why it happened, I was like, well, because I don't feel like I was honest and I was authentic with myself. Like, I feel like I was letting the other person kind of control the dynamic and control the situation. And so it left me feeling very like, well, now what? Like, I just didn't feel good. Like, I just didn't feel good about it. And so I think that, yeah, that being said, biting my tongue is just out in 2026. No more of that, because like that's also something that gets me and gets me bad, and I'm just not trying to deal with that, TBH. And just sitting inside, sitting sitting around. Like for me, I sit around a lot doing random things, reading, writing, working, like whatever. I've just decided that I can actually do those things outside. I like fresh air. I'm an outside person. I'm literally like, I don't know, like just a flower, like facing the sunshine all the time. And that's how I want to feel. And I think to feel that way, I have to be outside, unless it's freezing. But honestly, when it's cold, I love a fire, I love a heater. So yeah, restaurants and stuff, I'm gonna start being the let's sit outside girl, except when it's summertime in Texas. Like then I won't be the let's sit outside girl. But until that time comes, and what's right now, it's January. I don't know, I got like 4 or 5 months before I have to worry about sitting inside, because I also do love AC. So we'll see. We'll see how long that stays out. But for right now, we're out is sitting out. Right. For right now, sitting inside is out. So anyway, let's talk about the Golden Globes. Now that we're here, let's talk about the Golden Globes. First thing I noticed, first and foremost, why was Kylie Jenner sitting with The Rock? Don't know. Literally, first thing I see, they show The Rock, Kylie Jenner's right there behind him. Don't know why she would be there, but okay. Like, right. Off to a strong start. Nikki Glazer, doing great. She looks phenomenal. I wonder. I wonder if I'll ever be tapped to host an award show. She was doing it, and I honestly was like, I don't do stand up, and I'm not a comedian. But I do think that there's something to be said, okay, about people who have a little bit of juice and a little bit of charisma, and I feel like are able to kind of just do it. And I just wonder, like, I wonder if that's my truth. Like, I wonder if that's on my award show journey. Because I do have, like, a recurring daydream of me giving, like, an acceptance speech at an award show down the line, like, mid-30s, right? And I do have that thought, like, it just, like, flashes across. Like, some part of me is connected with the me that's doing it. And she sends, like, visions. And she's like, girl, like, this is why you do it. Like, this is what you're working toward. So that being said, I don't know. Nikki Glazer was looking phenomenal, though. Shout out her. Michael B. Jordan. Now, I wrote down, I'm just reading my notes, by the way, but I wrote down Michael B. Jordan is obviously fine shit. That being said, it reminded me that there just needs to be more Black people in Hollywood spaces, like, and not just more Black people, more people of color, like, bro, like, you guys, it is just, the room by no means was diverse enough. Like, it was just not diverse enough. I don't understand what we're doing. I don't understand why we're doing this. I don't understand why it looks like this every time. I just don't. Like, I guess hypothetically speaking, I understand, because, okay, it's the nature of the industry to be like, it's especially prominent as we lean into a more conservative way of existing, that, like, the strong ruling fist of the white man is, like, coming back around the mountain. That being said, the room was just by no means diverse enough. And seeing Michael B. Jordan just reminded me of that. Missed a bunch. Came back to Zoe Kravitz and Dave Franco. They're equally yoked, and that's all I'll say about that. That's all I'll say about that. No shade, no tea, but yeah. Amy Poehler talking about starting a podcast after seeing so many white men get away with the bare minimum. And yes, and honestly, that reminded me, the reason I think I wrote that down is because that reminded me of an eternal soapbox that I have been on this soapbox for probably like 10 years now, but just with film, with television, with any sort, with podcasting, with And I even said it a few weeks ago when I was talking about how Dom Roberts said on some other podcast that like we just need to start making things because we need to ratio these white men. And she was right when she said that, honestly. We need to reach, there's no, like, the gap is so big, you guys don't even understand. Every girl you know could start a podcast and there would still be a gap. Like, that's how it is. And I just feel like that doesn't make any sense. And I could get into it, but Amy Poehler saying it directly, literally in her acceptance speech for I think it was podcast of the, I don't know, like, I don't know what that category was. But she's real for that because that's real. And like nobody, we're just, yeah. I do have now a little excerpt from here where I wrote a practice acceptance speech that I won't be reading, but y'all will hear it one day, okay? How about that? Y'all will literally hear it one day and it'll be so funny and so great when we get there. But for right now, we're keeping that to ourselves. Joe Keery and Charlie XCX. I felt like she was trying to hold it together and keep it P so bad. And honestly, she held it together and she kept it P. I feel like she's never that composed, so really good on her. Golden winning song, EJ crying, love her so much. K-pop Demon Hunters did change my life personally. Personally, I don't talk about it enough, but like it did. I don't talk about it enough because I think when it was happening, I was talking about it with anyone who would listen, and then it just stopped happening so fast. But it never actually even stopped happening is the thing, because I still get, and got for months, so much TikTok content and so much content across all of my platforms that kind of, like anyone scrolling on my FYP would have known that I was a child of K-pop Demon Hunters bad. So yeah, honestly, so deserved. That was the only real contender in that category anyway, so whatever. This whole thing is so entertainment coded. This is what I wrote down. These people, the thing about an award show and like the whole point that we like forget is that like we're like the entertainment industry, they all act so. Yes, they do act so. What are we talking? They're entertainers. They are literally entertainers. That's the whole point of like what they do and the way that they operate is to be putting on a performance. So like what part of that, like where are we losing the plot where we're observing them in their career that is literally to put on a performance and we're thinking this person's not human enough. Yeah, well, that's not what they're like going for. That's literally not what they're going for. But that being said, when I watch things like this, I'm like, I get excited because I'm like, I can't wait to join the ranks of like the entertainment community as a creative. And then like, I don't know, like, I mean, I'm a film school girl, like we know this. Like I am literally a film school baby. I'm a post-grad film industry baby. Like maybe I'm biased because this is my demographic of people, but they're like, I don't know, they're just my favorite demographic of people. Like in the spirit of brotherhood, like you mean to tell me the business owners and the business majors have the same energy amongst their folks? I don't know. Like I just don't know that they do. There's an air about them. They're not afraid to be observed hard. And I love that. Like they're almost dedicated to being observed. And honestly, okay, like interesting. But yeah, love that. Love them. Paul Thomas Anderson deserved. As a screenwriter, One Battle After Another was amazing and fabulous. Yes, 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 yes. Love that Miley Cyrus was there for some reason. Don't know why, but love that she was presenting. I feel like she imprinted on me personally the same way that Justin Bieber did. And actually like won't elaborate on that because I think it makes sense. I think if you know the lore and like you know of and you were imprinted on by Justin Bieber and or Miley Cyrus, then you know the feel. Like it's even different than One Direction. And I loved One Direction down. Like I was absolutely positively a Directioner down, but they didn't imprint on, like, truly imprint on me the way that, like, my childhood favorites did. And Miley Cyrus is one of those. So always love her, always gonna love her. Emma Stone's new face is insane. I just can't believe the way that it doesn't move. That's what I wrote. And you know what? Okay. Because really, I was watching it and I was like, I can't even believe the way that it doesn't move. Sinners, yeah, deserved win. PTA Best Director deserved. Io and Haley presenting. Io Adebari and Haley Steinfeld presenting. Perfect duo, and perfect duo to present Best Director. Gotta watch Adolescence. Low key, it swept. The show Adolescence, I believe it's on Netflix. It won several, I think, for performance, both for performances and for the show itself. So yeah, one of my favorite things is always going to be, and like, I just, in general, like in life, but especially in the context of something like an award show, is watching people like get emotional and thank others. I think that creating and creativity are such like major and beautiful things, and like I love this whole situation where we like come together and we acknowledge our teams and our teamwork, and we celebrate and we give our speeches, and we like it just feels so, and like, yes, the ratios do need to change, which I will get to, but like it just feels, that's like one of my favorite things to watch. And honestly, it makes me emotional every time, and I don't know if it's because I'm like, a part of me is like anticipating being in that situation and like living vicariously through these people, and like so happy about their wins, and like so excited to just see it all happening and to see proof that it is real and that it exists. But yeah, I don't know. That's one of my favorite things. Marlon Wayans and Adam Scott in this red ass suit jacket. Right. Also must watch the studio. And Adam Scott, I will say, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I also think it's worth just a Google. Adam Scott Golden Globes suit jacket situation. Now, as soon as I sat down to watch Hamnet, I knew Jessie Buckley was going to win something. I didn't know what it was going to be, but the fact that she did, hey, like I knew she was going to win something. She said in her speech, Julia Roberts, a hero to us all. And honestly, after like very recently watching Pretty Woman 1 and Notting Hill, like Julia Roberts is a hero to us all. And I actually do have to watch her new movie After the Hunt. I have not seen that, but I am glad that Jessie Buckley won and that I got to witness it in real time, because I knew when I was sitting in the theater watching Hamnet, I literally knew. I was like, oh, this performance is getting us something. I thought Oscar, we'll see. There's time. So we'll see. Julia Roberts entering the stage and saying, I'm going to be impossible after this. Like, because I love a self-aware woman who knows how much she's giving the public, and that's just what that was. She presented One Battle After Another with its third win of the night, and I don't know. Well, actually, it may not have been the third win, but all I have to say is that it was my favorite movie in 2025, so like I get it, and I love that she's the one who did it. Jessie Buckley said a line about all of the amazing cinema that I loved. She said, what a feast for us all. And truly, because what a feast for us all when people make films that are so good. Yeah, I was recently actually having a conversation with someone about how pre-COVID especially, and the thing is, now these movies are still being made, but they're not mainstream. Before COVID, mainstream films were being made that were like so good. And there's a discernible difference. I think anyone who kind of studies or like keeps up with film like could tell you, even dare I say in television too, like there is pre-COVID and there's like post-COVID, and that's one of my soapboxes. Like, one of my soapboxes in general is how, like, I feel like corporations leaning into the money grab of it all are doing themselves a disservice, but also doing the creative a disservice, and also doing the viewer a disservice by not giving them challenging or like complex or like realistic or gritty material to chew on. And yeah, I will say, like, all of the films and things that were up for Golden Globes, with, I guess, like, maybe the exception of K-pop Demon Hunters, but that's if you're asking someone normal, and you're not. Like, you're asking me, and I feel like it changed my life. That's a personal opinion. That being said, all of these films that were, like, up for these awards, and like these directing awards and these writing awards, obviously, like, they're awarded and they're getting some recognition, but I don't think they're by any means like mainstream. I don't think any of that shit is mainstream. I think when we're talking about mainstream, we're talking about fucking like Anaconda 2 or whatever the fuck that shit was. You know, was it Anaconda? I don't know if it was Anaconda, but I feel like creative projects being like commercialized and commodified, or maybe not creative projects. I feel like something like cinema being like so obviously, not even just cinema, I think art in general. Oh my gosh, all forms of art should be able to just be art. And I think the thing that is now destroying art is that, like, it's turning into a thing to be commercialized and commodified. Like, and that literally is not even the essence of what art should be. I don't know. So, yeah. George Clooney and Don Cheadle, a perfect presenting pair, and so funny, but there's something to be said about the whiteness of it all. I think especially at an event like the Golden Globes, it becomes so obvious that, like, white actors are always just the main characters, and the actors of color are like automatically put into this secondary position, which I don't know. I like, obviously it's strange to me and noticeable to me and probably most people of color, because people of color are not secondary in my life. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, most people of color can relate to that feeling of being like, it's so obviously odd because people of color aren't secondary in our life. So maybe we notice more of that. But yeah, I love Don Cheadle and I love George Clooney, but I think that their placement at that moment was an example of how far we have to go with, like, proper, I don't know if it's integration, I don't know if that's the right word, but I think that, like, there was just, it's just like so obvious. And I'm like, are we not? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a soapbox, and I'm not even going to do too much on it because I'm nearing the end of my notes on the Golden Globes. But, and maybe this will be like the last thing that I say about this. Every year at every award show, there are like 5 nominees that are white, directed and written by white artists, and like there's one, like, Sinners, that manages to like sneak through the cracks almost, but then it's like it's just I don't understand how the industry is still choosing to be like that. Like, I just find it so intriguing. And I'm like, because I think Sinners was the only big budget mainstream film by a black director in 2025. I think. I could be wrong. Like, big budget mainstream I'm talking about. I could be wrong. But I think it was. And I feel like that's kind of insane, all things considered. And I think it's interesting because then these things happen where, like, and Chloe and Hamnet did deserve a win. And Chloe Zhao did her thing, and that's a woman of color. But I think that it's interesting, like, her shouting out Ryan Coogler, and, like, even when Timothée Chalamet won at, what awards was it? He won something just, like, last week, and shouted out Michael B. Jordan. And I think that the artists even that are put into these positions of power and like recognition, even realizing and like in real time discussing the discrepancy, but kind of in a way that's like, I don't know, it's really interesting. So anyway, yeah. I am about to like go from being kind of a little chronically online to kind of chronically offline. So I am very intrigued to see how my thoughts and opinions will continue to form like the more distance that I put between myself and the internet, because I'm literally just going to be like getting on, posting content for the podcast, and then getting off. Like I all of my personal pages are private and like not being really going to be like being used for anything. So yeah, we'll see. I'm like really trying to lock in, you guys. I'm really trying to lock in 2026. I feel like when I was on my date, and this is the only thing that I will say about it, I realized the difference between like a chronically offline man and like a chronically online man, because I've encountered many chronically online men, but this man that I was on a date with was like very obviously offline, and I was like, wow, something about you, like just because you're off of the internet, I don't know, feels really special. Like you're kind of flexing on me. And he would like say like just small things that were like tells that he was offline, or like even when I was explaining, like I was explaining my perspective on how it's so easy, for example, to get swept up in LA. And like as soon as I was in LA, I was checking Instagram because I felt like I had to keep up with things. Like there were things to keep up with. Now that I'm here, there's things to keep up with, you know? And it was interesting because he was like, that's so, I have just not had that experience. And I was saying, I would say things like, I would be like, yeah, and like, blah, 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 blah. And like, you can tell though that the culture is shifting because this trend is coming back and social media is now veering toward this type of content. And he'd be like, oh, is it really? Like, that's interesting. I guess I haven't really noticed. I don't use social media. Okay, sure. Like, whatever you say. Whatever you say, literally my sweet prince. Like, okay, you're right. And as you shouldn't be. And that's really beautiful. And you know what? Honestly, thank you for saying that because I needed to hear that. So yeah, that being said, I'm gonna be taking a break. And I was already gonna take a break for myself, but I think feeling it so directly, like you know how you know you need to do something and then you like feel the implications or the impact of doing the thing and you're like, hated that feeling. So now I actually have to take action. I think for me, that's what the date was. I was like, no, I really want to be like offline and I really want to be in my creative bag and I really want to like focus on myself as an artist and focus on my path and focus on creating. And I literally think this man, like being like, oh, you really don't know what I'm talking about. Or you really don't be on the internet. Or you really are focused on chasing your dream. Oh, and you know what? I should be doing that too, actually. Like, it really hit in a different way that I wasn't super obsessed with. But I'm glad it did because it needed to happen. So, yeah, that being said, we are back from California. We are on a strict program this year. We are now releasing on Wednesdays. And we're excited. Excited for where I'm going. Excited for what one step at a time is going to take me. Excited for what one step at a time is going to take me? Excited for where? Excited for where one step at a time will take me, even though it literally feels painful to take one step at a time, and I have like an itch under my skin all day long to run full speed. So that's what we're working on, slowing down this year. We're working on slowing down. We're off the internet. We're just gonna vibe. And like I said, I think that this will progressively get more interesting the less time I spend consuming content on the internet. So, yeah, we'll see about that. In the meantime, thank you guys for being here. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. Next week, I will vaguely touch on Marty Supreme because I meant to do it this time. I even have my notes. And I did want to share those notes, but you know, it's okay. You know what? It's okay. Like, period. We can talk about it next week, I guess. Yeah, and hopefully by next week I'll have seen No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook, my favorite director. Hopefully by then I'll have thoughts on that too. So until next time, love you, miss you, really want to kiss you as usual. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next week.